guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kira the Doll back here for yet another video. And as you can see from the pictures, today is gonna be a braid video, DIY, and this is the style I'm basically going for, the Fulani braids, which are pretty trending right now. So before we get started, I just wanted to tell you the things that you'll need. The things that will make this style easy and that you need as well is a rat tail comb, like the one that I'm using. That helps a lot with the parting. You need section clips just to make it easier when you're parting your hair to hold the hair in place and stuff like that. That helps a lot. Braiding hair, the curly pieces of the braiding hair, shining jam, and patience. So as you can see, I started off basically with sectioning my hair, and not just sectioning but pre-parting. Since the front part is the cornrow braids, and then the back part is the box braids. Box braids is always easy for me. So I just started off with pre-parting so that by the time it's time to braid, I could just braid. I don't have to worry about parting. I could just fix up my parts a little bit and then, go. So also I'm sectioning off from the front to the back since they're cornrows, and I have to, define the part between the box braids and the cornrows. So I'm just sectioning off the front to the back of the head, which is very helpful with any type of braids. Like, this type of sectioning is really helpful. So for anybody that's a braider, etc., that is very helpful. And also, you're probably wondering, how can I see my head? So basically, I'm recording, and I have this recording playing on the TV through AirPlay or like screen mirroring, so I can see what the part looks like. At the same time, I don't know if it's just me, but like the way that you have to look up and like, I don't know, it still strains your eyes. Like, it's hard to look at that angle. So please don't come for me in the comments about my parts. Like, I know that they're not as perfect as they could be. I am a perfectionist, but for the sake of this style, and because I'm so much of a perfectionist, I've been learning lately to stop trying to make everything so perfect and just go. Because when you do that, by the time, like, I wouldn't have got done as fast as I did if I would have, been a stickler about every little thing. And that's really something that I had to drill through my head, because like I said, I'm a perfectionist. So literally, I used to spend so much time on the things that didn't matter. Like, yeah, parting matters, but like, the longer you spend on parting, or the longer you spend on the small stuff, your whole style is going to take longer. So I've just always, from now on, been keeping in mind, while I'm styling, time. I don't want to be on this all day, all week, forever, So I always keep that in mind when thinking about doing any style, time. Like, how long is this taking me? Being mindful of the time, and also not really taking breaks, stuff like that. Like, and the intention behind it, because, the pre-parting is very helpful. And then, when you're pre-parting, you don't have to worry about crisp parts, because when you go back to those parts to start braiding, you can perfect it at that moment. You don't have to spend too much time on the little things. Basically, it helps with the overall styles for the fact that both sides is like a mirror, and then the middle is, the triangle part. So it helped a lot with the pre-sectioning and knowing where I was going to braid before making the braids. So that's just one tip I will give to you guys to make it easier. Something that also really helps with braids is to blow dry your hair beforehand, because like, when you wash your hair and it's freshly washed, I do a lot of no blow dryer styles, and I've been there, done that the natural way. But when you're braiding, you have to blow dry your hair, or it's gonna hurt like hell. Like, it's gonna be way more painful. It's gonna be unnecessarily painful. So you might as well just blow dry it and get it straight, so that when you go in to make your parts, they just part easily, rather than having a curly, kinky scalp. And that's basically just what it is. It's not nappy. It's just that our hair is so curly that even all the way down to the root, it's curly. So it's going to be hard when you're parting to go through curly hair rather than straight, because curly, it can get a little tangled. By this point, I'm about ready to start braiding. And as I'm braiding, I give you guys a little bit of tips that have helped me to perfect my braiding, because like throughout my journey, I've always asked questions, and answers that a lot of people have given me has just been, with time you'll learn. With time your braiding will get tighter, will get, more perfect. But that's true. But at the same time, it's about your technique and what you're doing, because in the beginning, I would struggle with like knotless, especially the smaller ones. But now I kind of got the concept, and with the knotless, you want to start off adding hair like that's not too bulky. You don't want to add too much hair in the beginning of your knotless braid. You want to slowly, gradually add hair in. Like when you're first starting, you want to grab the smallest piece of hair to add in, especially if the section that you're using is small, because you have to make it look realistic, And I honestly like knotless braids. I feel like they last a good amount of time, for the simple fact that your scalp is out, but like your scalp is braided. If that person knows how to braid, your scalp is being gripped, still. And much of your hair, like your hair is out, but much of it still isn't out, because you have hair being weaved in damn near as soon as you're starting. So by the time, you're at the end of the braid, all of your hair is in the braid. So it's just another way to look at knotless. And braids at the end of the day are always going to be a protective style. Now, as you can see here, I'm basically just cleaning up those parts to make them as straight as possible, as straight as I can get them. And honestly, like I said, I'm done being a stickler, especially when it comes to hair, because I do not have all day, all week, and all month. We're going to get done tonight. And this style literally took me 2 days. So, it shows you, if you're dedicated, you'll get it done. I used to take like 3 days to get my hair done, 3-4 days, literally, to get my hair done. I remember one of my neighbors, y'all, watch out for them neighbors, y'all, because they used to watch me and shit. Like, I was living by myself. But yeah, I came out the crib or whatever one day after I was done braiding my hair. It was taking me mad days. And not only that, but like, I'm the type of person, I don't gotta come out the house. Like, if I got my food in the house, if I got everything I need in the house, I'm about to be cooking. I'm about to be doing everything in my power to not have to go outside. Like, I love my personal space. I love being by myself. So I finally came out with my hair done, and one of the neighbors talking about damn, I ain't seen you in a few days. Like, I thought something had happened. Everything good? I'm like, God damn, my guy, like, you be watching me go in and out like that? Like, is y'all niggas planning a lick or something? But nah, for real, you guys really have to keep an eye out for people, because they definitely keep an eye out for you. As much as you think that people are not observing their surroundings and watching you, they could most likely be. And so that's why, you really do have to pay attention. There are stalkers in the world. There are things in this world. And it's like, I don't be trying to come off as cocky or full of myself or, shallow or anything like that. But I literally be feeling like I can't stand sometimes being in public and going places, doing things, just for the simple fact that people always try to flirt with me. People always is trying to make stuff more than what it is. And I just be wanting platonic. Like, why can't people just be genuinely nice? Like, why everybody have to have their ulterior motives and shit? Like, damn, y'all done let me go off on a tangent. But let's get back to the video. So now I'm going to give you guys some tips on the cornrows and basically how to get your cornrows more tight and, you know, closer to the scalp, just more better presenting. I'm not sure how these cornrows look to you guys, but to me they look pretty good, especially for the fact that I don't really do much cornrows on my head. And, you know, basically this is like a starter. Like, I don't do much styles like this on my head. And not only that, but for the simple fact that I'm braiding my own hair, it's hard to braid on the top of yourself, and it's also hard to see what you're doing. It's hard to keep your arms up. Your arms get tired. So I feel like I did a pretty good job. So the first things first, you want to get this hair as smooth as possible because you're going to be starting off with the smallest piece that you can bear. And for me, my hair is like so thin around my edges. Like, I'm going through a little hard time right now, y'all. Pray for me. Like, my edges is horrible. They are like, it's because I had locks and they really tugged at my edges, and I really just gotta work on getting that back healthy. But yeah, when you're starting off, you want to start off as close to the edge as possible and as small of a section as possible, and then you want to start braiding. Some people do add in braids in the very beginning, but if you're going to do that, you, like I said, you got to keep into consideration that if you add hair at the very beginning, it has to be the smallest piece of hair that you can ever bear. Like, I just seen a TikTok of the Grinch movie, and they had a little black kid on there with one piece of hair. That's how much hair you need to have when you start your braid out. They said the man that made Dr. Seuss, they said Dr. Seuss was racist, but babe, why they had to get a baby? It wasn't even a baby. It was like probably like an 8-year-old. Why they had to get the baby a bald head with one piece of hair sticking out the top? Like, come on. That's the only role y'all could get told about children. Y'all really serious? Y'all gonna do it like that? But no, these braids right here, the ones in the middle, are really the easiest ones to me. I did them the fastest because they're just going straight back. And also, this was the last section I did this night. Like, I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I just went to sleep, and I woke up the next day and did the box braids in the back. So yeah, these straight back ones was the easiest for me. And I feel like, I hope that my mapping, the way that I broke it down and showed you guys how I braided it, helped somebody. I hope that it helped somebody map out some Fulani braids and do your thing, girl. One last tip I have as far as the cornrow braids, and please, you guys, don't chew me up. I know that I had a plate in the background. I have my juice in the background. I can eat and drink all day. Like, I've been eating my little breaks. I've been eating to eat in between and all that. But one last tip for your cornrows is to keep your hands as close to the scalp as possible. And also, another great tip I got for cornrows, because I couldn't never figure out why my cornrows was always so loose, is to never let go of the middle piece. So if you're going to let go of any piece of hair, let it be one of the pieces on the outside of the braid. Hold on tight to the middle piece, because that's the last piece that you tucked. You tucked or crossed over. So that tip helped me a lot to get my braids tighter, because I feel like a lot of times, especially if you're self-taught, you kind of just braid aimlessly, and then over time you just get better. But sometimes it takes the actual knowledge of what you're doing and what you're doing wrong to just fix it, because it doesn't take years for your braids to get tighter. It takes just knowing the right knowledge of what you're doing wrong. to fix it. So of course, try to do it tight, but tips to help it be tighter is keeping your fingers on that scalp and holding on tight to that middle section, because the middle section is the last part that you crossed over to. So just keep that in mind when braiding. One last thing I will say is to basically make sure your braid is forming the way you want it to form before you're adding in new hair and you're continuing on. So one thing I had trouble with is just like the full rotation of a braid and then adding hair. So if you haven't went through your full rotation, 1, 2, 3, crossover, 1, 2, you don't want to add in hair too quickly, because that's not going to let your braids lay how you want them to. So I just feel like I have a lot of tips for you guys, because I struggle with braiding a lot in the beginning, and it's getting a little better. So now we're going to move on to the box braids in the back. So now for the back part, the box braids, of course you want to pre-part so that you kind of already have a feel for how many rows you're going to have, even the down to how many braids you're going to have. You have a better idea, which is very relieving when you're doing a whole head. Like, it helps to break it down and doesn't look so overwhelming. I basically did the pre-parting off camera, so at this point you just see me perfecting those parts, trying to get them as straight as possible. But also something I keep in mind as I'm clearing up these parts back here, I'm keeping in mind that the back of my head, like the braids the closest to my nape, nobody is going to see this. But I still want them to be straight, but I'm not stressing about this, because the main ones that they're going to see is most likely going to be at the top, and they're probably not even really going to see the parts at the top either, because of the Fulani braids in the front, So I'm keeping in mind to not be such a stickler about these parts. These are not just literal knotless braids where all you see is the parts. These are going to be more so covered because of the braids in the front, the curls, like it's a lot going on. Then with every row, I do my pre-parts for my braids, just so that I can take my braiding hair and go. It honestly might even be a good idea to go through your whole head and do this, because I feel like when you break it up into sections, you break it up into, okay, I'm parting now. Now I'm braiding. Now I'm doing XYZ. Now I'm doing it goes way smoother and way quicker, because it's like a factory line. You're doing one thing, and when you're doing one thing over and over and over, you get faster at it. So by the time you're up half the head, you just speeding through. So that's one way to break it down if you want, but to each their own. Also, something else I will say is that it really throws me off. Like, the reason why you see me trying to part and like my comb is crooked and like it's not straight, it's just probably confusing you guys. Like, why, if you're looking right at it on the TV, why is your comb tilted to the side and like it's not straight and you just not going straight and up and down? It's because honestly, screen mirroring is really helpful, but at the same time, I feel like, I don't know if I'm dyslexic or what, but like it's so confusing to me, like, because it's like I can see, but for some reason putting the picture together with what my arms and my hands is doing really throws me off. I don't know what it is, but like it just like it gives me a brain fart, and I just be sitting there like, hold on, which is left, which right? So let's get into my tips on knotless. So for one, how I like to start off any braid is to literally divide the natural hair into 3 sections, like to start off with, and then start braiding, because you don't want to just scoop through the hair and be trying to randomly pick these pieces and stuff. You want to make sure they're pretty even. You want to make sure you're starting off with a pretty even base. You don't want one piece of hair to be real thick and the other one to be thin. because it'll just help with the consistency. You want to be very consistent when you're doing braids, and that's how you get your braids to look more put together. Another tip for knotless, at the root, you want to start off with a very tight and secure braid. Like, just because it's the natural hair don't mean that you can't get it tight. Keep your hands close to the scalp. Be intentional about the way that you're crossing over and, the rotation you're doing. Be intentional. And also, like I said before, pay attention to that middle strand. You don't never want to let go of that middle strand, because that is always your best friend when braiding with any type of braid, the cornrows or box braids, knotless, with it, whatever. I'm honestly just thinking of small things as I go, because, of course, the first time you try something is not always the best. So just get better over time. But when somebody's able to point things out to you, it kind of makes that learning curve a lot shorter, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that somebody else made. So another tip for your knotless, this is something that helped me a lot recently. So when you're adding the hair in, you kind of want to add it in like, the person who video I watched, they described it as like a C, but you want to add the hair in a way that it's still kind of looped. And not only that, but as you're braiding down, you want to keep a very firm grip for the knotless, because you're adding in hair as you're going. And whenever you're adding hair, you want that to be as tight as possible, because you want it to look like seamless, like it's been in the braid from the jump. I'm not saying that these are the most perfect braids in the world. I'm not saying that I'm the best expert. I'm not saying that, I'm above nobody. I'm just saying that I had to start somewhere, and I've made a lot of progress from where I started. And not only that, but because of the simple fact that this is my head, this isn't a client, I'm not being a stickler. I don't care. If my man likes it, I love it. But yeah, like, I'm not being a stickler on my own hair. I'm not. And also, something that was stopping me from making each braid perfect is just the simple fact that this hair tingled so badly. This hair tingled so badly to the point that it cut my finger. Yes, it cut my finger, but this was a 36-inch, which honestly, working in the hair store, I learned that, different brands measure their braiding hair differently. So just because it's basically long as shit. That's basically what I'm trying to explain. Like, some hair might say, oh, this is this inch and blah, blah, blah. And it don't really be like, it be long as hell. 36-inch goes all the way down to, below my butt. So it's way easier for that type of hair to tangle as well. I don't know if it's the brand. I don't know what's going on, but a few people have been saying some of these brands, like the Expression hair, I've just heard that certain, like, one is a knockoff. Like, the one that has that gold ring around it is the knockoff one, and then the regular pack without the silver string, they said, is the one that's not the knockoff without the little gold thing on there. But yeah, like, I definitely felt like when I was using this braiding hair right here, I definitely felt like it wasn't the same quality that I was used to. Rua hair literally never gave me a problem, so that was one of the softest hairs, one of the best hairs. And honestly, I think I still do like the shorter one, like the 24-inch, but that long inch, I feel like, honestly, for any braid, them long hairs is so tangle prone. Like, it's just like inevitable for it to tangle. Like, you can honestly even see the struggle I was having. And it's like, I'm an honest person. So, like, I know if one of y'all brains is watching or any of that, like, that shit was really hard to get through. And this is basically the finished look. One last tip I will give for the knotless is to add hair behind the braid, so that you're adding it behind. You're not adding it to the top. So that you're keeping in mind the the appearance of the braid. You got to keep in mind the aesthetic at all times when doing hair. This is the back. As y'all can see, it turned out pretty cute. Okay, like I said, I wasn't trying to be a stickler about it. So also, one last thing I want to add is you can also curl your ends like this. So I just band-tube my ends like how these ones are in this pictures, and I dipped it in hot water and then took it out of the band-tubes. And also, I made sure I didn't dip the curly hair I had into the hot water, so I held that part up, put it in like a bun or something, and then band-tubed the ends of my braids, dipped them in hot water, and took it out of the band-tubes because I didn't have hair rollers. So that's a tip for anybody also. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know any tips that y'all might have, any constructive criticism. No negativity though, because some people be coming under my comments talking a little crazy. But yeah, we all friends here. You feel me? So yeah, thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.